My name is Bill, K9IKK, and going to talk a little bit about Winlink this evening, and just a brief overview what it is. I'm sure many of you may have heard the term. I know some of you have actually used it, but for those who haven't, this will be a great little introductory. Let it drop. And we just did the introductory, so let's move on to the second slide here. And this is just a little bit about what Winlink is and also what it's not. So Winlink it's an email program that allows your emails to be sent and received over the radio in addition to traditional internet. And that's a key point. With the Winlink, you still have the capability to do traditional internet email, but it also is now giving you the capability to send and receive over the radio. And that's important when we lose our internet services. Winlink is not, it's not a web browser or a hotspot. It's not used to, make a link, a personal internet connection from your house and surf the net. It's not a hotspot, and it's also not a QS mode. This is not something where you're going to be, communicating back and forth with people in real time and, counting for QSO points and awards. This is strictly an email program. Let it drop. Okay, the second slide, we're going to talk about some of the advantages of Winlink. And again, the main purpose of Winlink is the ability to send and receive those messages when your phone and all of your internet services are not available. And this is something many of us just experienced in the past week with Hurricane Beryl, and is also what's happening as we speak over in Florida. There's probably a lot of people that have lost their main communication. In addition to the email, Winlink does allow you to include attachments and photos, kind of like you would do with a regular email. So it does allow for attachments. And another great function of Winlink is that it has an extensive library of built-in forms that might be used for like Red Cross, FEMA, ARIES, RACES, and all those served agencies. A lot of their forms are already built into Winlink, so it makes it a really good resource for helping those agencies communicate over the Winlink, of course, when everything else goes down. Let it drop. Okay, Winlink is, the way it works is that when you make a radio connection, you're connecting to gateways. And these gateways then put you back on the internet and allow you to upload and download those email messages. The advantage of Winlink is we have gateways on just about all the ham radio frequencies. So VHF and UHF supports a lot of local Winlink connections. And then the HF frequencies will support your long haul.
Well, McCormick's already made a couple of nice plays in left field.
That's also important.
And he lifts this one out over first base. Long run for Garcia. Finally gets to him.
A lot of people lost internet.
McCormick,
Which means
tired to start the fifth inning. All right, let's check in with Emma.
Well, it is that time, Dave. Time for our T-Mobile coverage cam, and we will finally see Tyler Valley tomorrow make his Ranger debut. Of course, his last outing against the AAA.
Or even further, you can go New York, Chicago, and basically you can go worldwide as long as the HF propagation is holding up. We've got nodes set up worldwide. And if the internet is completely down, the Winlink also allows for radio-to-radio connections. So if you're if the node loses its internet, it can store your messages, and then somebody else can log into that node and pull a message down that way. Or if the two stations that are trying to communicate are close enough, we can do a direct, what they call peer-to-peer connection, which is radio-to-radio. And with two people set up that way, when you send your email message, it goes directly into their inbox on the mail program, with no internet and no other interfaces needed. It's just straight computer to computer file transfer. So that's real handy. And it works well on VHF. We've done that from Fulshire Farmers Market with our demonstrations. We've been able to do direct radio to radio Winlink connections with people in the Katy Fulshire area. Let it drop. Going to move on to the next slide and talk a little bit about the modes. So Winlink is a digital, it works with digital modes. And for the VHF, UHF connections, the most common are packet and then what they call VARA FM. Now packet is the same packet that we're all used to. It's like, I think 1200 baud, so that's real slow. VARA FM is a much faster medium for the UHF, VHF. It's probably at least 10 times faster, and a lot of people have migrated to that. And then when you get to the HF modes, there's a built-in digital protocol called RDOF that Winlink comes with. And that's okay. It's a little slow, but it does work. There also is VARA again, the HF version, which is much faster. And the granddaddy, the best mode that you could really get is Pactor. The only problem with that is it's very expensive. Pactor modems are running about $1,500 to $2,000, and most of us don't have that kind of extra cash. They have done studies and have found that the VARA HF is, in most cases, just about even with the Pactor, so something to keep in mind. Let it drop. So what do you really need to get Winlink going? You basically need your computer, you need your radio, and then you need a TNC or some type of modem to interface the computer to the radio. The most common one is SignalLink. There's also DigiRig, and some of the modern radios actually have built-in TNCs or modems in them, and you may be able to use those as well. The key is you've got to get the the audio going to and from the computer to the radio, as well as the control signal. The transmit and receive. So I'm trying to think other modes. Some people make the older Cantronics modems; those still work, or the PK232 pack rats and things for some of our older timers. Those work as well. Now, if you have internet available, you don't need the TNC and you don't need the radio. You can run the Winlink program on the computer, and if you have an internet connection, you can send it out that way. And actually, that's what I've been doing because I've been an apartment dweller, and so I cannot get the RF really to work in the apartment, and it's tricky to get antennas up and so forth. So you can do it that way. There's also a way that you can do it over the internet. You can log into like winlink.org and you can access your account there and still get some of your emails and things that way. You don't have full functionality, but it's another way to check your Winlink messages if you're not near your regular computer, maybe you're out of town traveling or something like that. Let it drop. And I think that's really it. I'm going to really recommend that for those who are interested in Winlink, go to the Winlink's webpage. That's whiskey.winlink.org. That's your starting spot. You can download the software. The software is free to download. You can get it at running on your computer. You'll have to register your call sign there, and they'll instruct you to do that. And then you can start playing around with the software, start sending messages. The other thing I highly recommend is just doing some searches on YouTube, there's a plethora of videos out there with mini hams that have set up Winlink with lots of different radios. You can probably find one that matches your radio, and some of the different things they've been able to do with the Winlink. And then, of course, don't forget about your local clubs and your Aries groups. A lot of the Aries groups are accepting what they call digital check-ins, and that means that the members are just sending in a Winlink message that basically says, I'm checking in via Winlink, and you might put in also kind of what nodes you went through and so forth. And I know in Fort Bend County, we accept check-ins any day of the week, and then we'll announce everybody who checked in on the regular Monday night net. And there's no limit to how many Winlinks. We have some stations sending 15. I think somebody got up to 20 different Winlink messages in one week. They were testing out every possible node and mode combination. So it's a lot of different ways to do Winlink. And really, that was kind of a quick overshoot of Winlink. I know it was kind of fast, but I'd like to open it up for any questions at this time. This is KA9IJK.
Bill, good presentation.
Hey, Bill, good evening.
Anybody got any questions for Bill?
Bill, my
Go
question
on
for
out.
you is, what equipment, if you want to set up a Winlink system or Digipeater, give me the breakdown of the basic parts of how you would put your own Winlink system together, please. Back to you, W5BSA.
Okay, a slight double there in the beginning, but I got your question, Joe. So Joe, W5BSA, was asking what kind of equipment would you need to get your own node up and running, if I heard that correctly. So obviously you're going to need an internet connection. You're going to need a radio, and then you're going to need to get the what they call sysop or node software, and I think it's called RMS tri-mode is what they're using right now. And the way that most people set up their nodes is that they have a radio that's scanning, it's HF frequencies. So your radio would be scanning different bands and different frequencies constantly. And when it picks up a connection signal from somebody trying to connect, it will stop and then try to make that connection with that station. Once the connection is made, then the person can do what he needs to do, and obviously then it's running through your internet at that point. So you're going to still need a modem, and then you're going to need the internet software, and you'll need the radios. Over.
Okay, understood. Thanks, Bill. Appreciate the breakdown there.
Well, that's a good question, and for those that are in the Katy area, that's something that we definitely could use more local VHF, UHF nodes, going west. Katy going in towards Houston, there's usually enough nodes, but once we get out west, we don't have much coverage. And that's typical as we get more into the rural areas. Any other questions? This is KA9IKK.
This is KJ5 ADO with a question.
Yes, good evening, Brenda. Go ahead with your question.
So I know there's an ability where you can send a text as well. Can you elaborate on that a little more? I've done it, but I only know how to do it to other people who have Verizon. So if you could hit on that, if you have any knowledge of that.
Well, that's a great question, Brenda, and that's a really great feature of not only Winlink. This is something you can do with your any email program. And what Brenda is talking about is that you can take any email, and in the to field, you can address it to their telephone number, and that email will show up as a text on their cell phone. And that's a really great thing to do because in today's society, everybody's checking their cell phones. We have them pretty much glued to our hips all day long, but we don't necessarily check our email all the time. So if you're trying to get an urgent message to somebody, that's a great way to do that. And what you do is you basically take the 10-digit telephone number and then put the @ symbol. And then each carrier has their own specific domain or address, and those are available out there on the internet. And maybe I can send that out to the group. But hope that answers your question. Over.
It does, and thank you for that. And it's nice to be able to send a text out to people, that aren't radio operators and can't respond. At least you can let them know. So anyway, thank you for answering that question. Back to net control.
And this is K9IKK, and I wanted to follow up on that. So with Winlink, you can send messages to both hams and non-hams. You can send a email out as long as it's a valid email address. It'll go out like a regular email once it gets through the system. Same thing with the phones, and those people can reply as well. You can once they get on your, I guess they call it like a whitelist, approved people that you'll accept incoming messages from. Then you can do that. So if you've got family members that are non-hams, you can still communicate with them. It just, you'd be on the Winlink side and they'd be using their regular email. But they can respond, and you can get those responses. I think it works with the text as well. That's a good point to put out. And the text feature, and I always share this example, and there was a couple of hams who went camping. This was last year, I think, sometime. And they were in Nevada or Arizona in the middle of nowhere. And one of the members started feeling sick, developing symptoms of a heart attack. Well, they had no cell phone coverage or any way to get help, but they had their ham radio gear there. So they typed up a quick Winlink message, sent it out on HF, and it showed up as a text on one of their friends' cell phones. And he was able to immediately get a hold of authorities and get them the help they needed. So that's just one of the many examples how helpful Winlink can be. Great questions. Any others? This is KA9IKK. Well, I'm not hearing anything at this time. I don't know. I wasn't checking the chat. I don't know if there's anything there. But we'll pass it back to net control, and if something comes up, we can maybe address it at the end of the net. So this is K9IKK. Thank you, everybody, for listening to the Winlink presentation, and we'll pass it back to net control. This is K9IKK.
K9IKKW5CPO. Good presentation, Bill. Thanks for that. Anybody else got any questions regarding Winlink?
K5LK got a quick question, Bill.
Oh yeah, Bill. Bill 9.
Hey man, I got upgraded. That's good. Thanks, Phil. Hey, K9IKK Bill. You may have talked about this earlier. I just got in and sat down. My apologies. Can you talk a little more about the equipment, the TNC? I think that's the primary piece of equipment that people will need to get on Winlink that are already hams, right? I mean, they already got a computer and radio and antenna typically. So just talk about it kind of in general. Or are you talking, and you may have already mentioned it, if you did, apologies. I mean, are you talking $50, $25 at a tailgate sale, or are you talking $300? I guess it kind of depends. Just kind of curious from what you hear. Thanks, K5LK.
Oh, no problems, Bill. Yeah, that's a good follow-up question because we didn't really talk about cost too much. But yes, one of the main components, and this is true for any digital mode that you're going to be doing. So if you're already set up and you're running FT8, I think is the most popular right now. Some people are doing PSK, and there's lots of other digital modes out there. If you're already doing that, then you should already have what you need because you've already got the interface going from the computer to the radio. But if you don't, you do need a TNC. The most common one is what they call signal link. That works with your sound cards inside your computer. And so you're just controlling the levels of the audio in and out with the signal link. And then it also has the control line. Signal links are running around, I want to say $110, maybe to $130, depending on where you get them. Then that's a real good TNC. You can use it both with the VHF, UHF, as well as the HF. Let it drop. Now, and that will work with, on the VHF, UHF side, you can use that for packets, APRS too, if you want to fiddle with that. And then the VARA FM will work with the signal link. And then on the HF side, the RDOP will work with the signal link and also the VARA HF mode. The one mode that's different is the PACTOR. Of course, that's going to be your granddaddy, the best mode that you could possibly get and the fastest. But it's also, those modems, I think, are still a proprietary software. I forget the company's name, but they're running like $1,500 to $2,000 for a new one, unless you're lucky enough to find a used one on eBay or something. So hopefully that gives you a quick tidbit of the kind of the TNCs there, Bill. Over.
Yeah, sure did. Thanks a lot. Back to Nat, K5LK.
Comment, follow-up question to that, W5BSA.
W5BSA, go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, so when I'm thinking PACTOR, like what used to be the PK232, and I believe the company that owns them now is now Time Wave. So I guess my question is, if you've got a TNC, like kind of like Bill K5LK was talking about, that you run PACTOR on it, is it the same PACTOR that would be used for Winlink? Hope that makes sense.
Okay.
You got the answer to that? I don't.
Like the repeater identified 2 times there. But anyways, yeah, there's different versions of the PACTOR. When it first came out, I think they called it, PACTOR 1, and then they went to 2 and to 3. Now they're all the way up to what they call PACTOR 4. And a little history on that is PACTOR 4 had such a wide, I think, bandwidth that it actually was not allowed by the FCC to do that until recently. So what the FCC did, and there was a lot of legislation, I guess, back and forth, but they ended up changing the rules on baud rates and digital bandwidth or whatever. So make a long story short, that it's now legal for hams to use the PACTOR 4. The only time we could really use it was during emergencies, and the FCC would give us a temporary, 90-day waiver or something. So people that had to go to Hawaii or to Puerto Rico to set up the communications after those big hurricanes and things could do that. But anyways, PACTOR 4. So I don't think the original PACTOR modems can handle the PACTOR 4 and 3. So you have to be careful about that. Hope that makes sense. Over.
That makes perfect sense. That's why I was curious. Back to Nat. Thank you, W5BSA.
W5CPO on the LCRA link repeater system. If any of you have not seen a signal link, those of you that are on YouTube or Zoom, this, hang on, this is a signal link. It's got some adjustments on the front. You can adjust your audio and a few other things. And that's the one that Brenda's got there. It's a rig blaster, isn't it? And this is the back of it. As you can see, there's just a data input, and so you need a data output on your radio to hook the things up. Digi-rig, okay, I see it. Okay, this is 35 CPO. Anybody else got a question for the Winlink session? KI5 HPF. Go ahead, Darren.
Yeah, Bill. I don't know what platform you use, what operating system you use to operate Winlink on, but I'm a Linux guy. So, do you have any experience with that, and is there any tricks to getting it set up on Linux?
Good question. I think it does work with the Linux. Most people are running it on a Windows platform. Where I know for the Macs, it's real difficult. There might be a few people that have tried to figure things out on the Mac. But yeah, if you go into that website again, winlink.org, they have a lot of resources there, and I believe that they've done some work. And there are people using the Linux. I believe it's all open source too, so you can get in there and kind of manipulate things a little bit. But yeah, I believe Linux works. Most of it is done on Windows. There's been some people that says that Windows 11 doesn't work so good. I've gotten it to work on Windows 11, but I do know there are some people that are keeping older computers and trying not to upgrade their Windows 10, but it's a little tricky for each computer and things like that. But again, there's a lot of good resources there. So hopefully that answered your question. Over.
Yeah, I'm on the Winlink website now, so I'll do a little poking around here and see what kind of advice they have and go from there. I appreciate your input and nice presentation. KI5HVF, back to net control.
Anyone else
with
with a Winlink
I
question?
have a couple of follow-up comments.
Double with you, Bill. Go ahead.
Roger, thank you, Net Control. Yeah, I wanted to talk briefly about some of the modes, and one of the modes mentioned that you can use is VARA. Now, VARA is free. It's a free software, but they do have a registration code that you can get, and if you do that, then you can get what I guess full speed. So I think without the registration code, they kind of limit your data rate. And so there is a fee to get the registration code. That registration code will work for all both the VARA FM and the VARA HF. And it's assigned by call sign. So if you want to load up multiple computers with the VARA software, you can do that under one license. And if I recall, when I did it, I think it was like $69 or $70. It's a one-time fee to get that registration code. But they do offer group rates. So something, if there's enough interest, maybe amongst the Crossroad members, maybe something to look at down the road is going in and applying for a group rate for that VARA software. And then I was also going to ask maybe Brenda, I know that you had a good Winlink story there during the hurricane, and you might just share with people how that experience was for you with Winlink during Beryl. K9IKK.
This is KJ5ADO. Yes, back during, the day the hurricane hit, I had no internet, no cell phone, no electricity. And I know that my family was probably starting to get worried because they hadn't heard from me. So I was able to send a text to everybody in my family. And then later on that night, I was actually able to email back and forth to my son to kind of tell him what was going on. So it was nice. I know my mom and dad said they, even though they didn't didn't know how to respond back to my text, they at least knew that I was okay. So, it worked out great. And I have very little experience with it, but I was glad that I had at least practiced sending myself emails, so at least I knew what to do in an emergency. This is KJ5ADO, back to net control.
Okay, thank you, Brenda. Yeah, I always like sharing your story, and I hope you don't mind, but it just shows the beauty of the whole Winlink system, that you can get messages out to family and loved ones that way. And if you don't mind, can you tell us a little bit more? I'm curious. I think you were using 40 meters, and how were you using it? Were you using like RDOT mode or the VARA HF? Maybe a little bit more details on how you did that. Over.
Yes, I was on 40 meters, and before the storm hit, I had prepared and downloaded, that's something that I'm sure when people start reading and researching, that's the word I'm looking for, that you have to download that list of, I guess it's gateways. I don't know if I'm using the right terminology or not, but you need to download the list of the gateways using the internet because it's much faster, so that in an emergency, then you can go to those. And so I had done that before the hurricane. I tried the first one, it wouldn't connect. Second one wouldn't connect. And then ironically, the third one from the Rio Grande Valley where I grew up was the one that I actually communicated on. So, just make sure you have your, update your gateways.
Okay, thank you for those extra details, Brenda. Yeah, and what Brenda's talking about is that the gateways that are available are included in the program, and you can when you have an internet connection, or you can do it by radio too, but it takes longer. But when you've got your internet connected, you can say update the list of all the worldwide nodes, and it'll give you all the Winlink gateway nodes available. And it tries to list them actually by what they think would be the best ones for you in terms of distance and propagation, time of day, and things like that. As you all know that, throughout the day, propagation changes dramatically. So nodes that you might be able to get in the morning, early morning, maybe on 80 or 40 meters, aren't going to work so good in the middle of the day as propagation changes. But then maybe 20 meters, 15-meter nodes might work better, and then again at nighttime, things will change again. So you have to play around with it. It's a lot of trial and error, especially on the HF, depending on your specific HF antenna, its radiation patterns, and things like that. And the other thing is, Winlink really doesn't take, if you get a good connection, it doesn't take a lot of power. I think a lot of people are running like no more than 30 watts or something like that. And you also need to be careful too, because it is digital. It's a heavier duty cycle, and so it's a lot of wear and tear. And so you got to be careful about how much power you're putting through with the full duty cycles there. But good, and thanks again, Brenda. And really, the best thing, if we have piqued some interest on Winlink this evening, is to go to the winlink.org, download that software, and get familiar with it. And if you need to send a test message, you can always send one to me. Just put KA9IKK, my call, right there in the to field, and it'll get to me. So very good questions, and we'll pause, see if there's any more. This is KA9IKK.
This is KJ5ADO. I didn't answer one of your questions, Bill, but I used VARA HF for my communication.
Okay, thanks, Brenda. Yeah, I forgot about that part. And yeah, VARA is really it's a really good mode. Most people have gone to the VARA. And do you have the? Did you get a pay for the registration code for that?
No, I did not.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, it's just that's a good example of you can still you know, make use of it without the full speed. It still gets through. It just can take longer. So yeah, there's a lot there, but for people that have already explored the digital world a little bit, you pretty much already have what you need. And for those who haven't, you know, again, and once you get like a signal link or something for Winlink, you can also use that for all the other digital modes too. So you can explore the worlds of FT8, which is again real popular, or PSK, and some of these other digital modes. So it's not just, you know, you're not buying the TNT just for Winlink. You're really getting it for all your digital modes. So it's a lot of fun. Great questions. And if there's no more, we'll pass it back to Net Control. This is KA9IKK.
Thanks, Bill. W5 CPO. Anybody else got a question for Bill?
This is Kilo Tango 5 Alpha Charlie with a comment.
So Tango 5 Alpha Charlie, go ahead, your comment.
Good evening, everybody. This is Kilo Tango 5 Alpha Charlie. The name is Amal Alpha Mike Alpha Lima. I just want to make a comment that there is a major difference between the email, I guess, that is sent through Winlink versus regular email. The Winlink email cannot be encrypted. It has to be plain text, and it has to follow all the standard ham radio practices. So, you know, be careful when you send that message. It has to be of, you know, non-personal nature. So that's a comment that I want to make. Back to you. This is Kilo Tango 5 Alpha Charlie.
Roger that, Amal. I guess you don't want to send your
Amal.
credit card number using Winlink.
Yeah, that's a really, really good, important point, and I want to emphasize that the all of your messages that are sent over Winlink are in the public domain, and there's actually a server that people can go to, and they can look at every message that's been sent through the system, and they can read those messages. So you don't want to put any personal message information in there. You don't want to be sending somebody your driver's license, you know, credit card information, those types of things. And that's actually one of the things I do is if I'm curious about what kind of Winlink, you know, messages might be coming out of Florida, I can go to that winlink.org, and they have what they call the message viewer, and you can go in there and you can search for messages, you know, with different words in the subject, or you can search for all the messages that go through one particular node, these types of things. But again, because you know, just like I can go in there and see that, other people can too. I think they'd have to be hand in order to get the password to get into that system. But other than that, again, that's a good point, Amal. We do want to be careful, and you also have to follow if you're doing international messages to non-hams, then you'd have to follow the third-party traffic agreements and things like that. So, but just be aware. Good questions, and we'll pass it back. This is Kate.
Roger, this is W5 CPO on the W5 LTR repeater system with the Crossroads Ham Radio Club's Monday Night Tech Net. Any more questions for Bill? All right, nothing but crickets. delegates. At this time, I'm going to open the net for any amateur radio tech. Well, let's go to Darren. Did you have anything for POTA?
Yeah, I can make it short and sweet. I can give a little present. Anyway, POTA, for those who don't know what POTA is Parks on the Air. Started in 2017 after ARRL stopped their year-long event, I believe, of National Parks on the Air, and a group of hams want to keep it going. So that's what they did. Now we have POTA. You can go to parksonair.org, I believe is what it is, and check it out. If you want to get involved in it, the easiest way to do it is to be a hunter. So somebody will be out at a state park setting up remotely to run off of whatever power they can get, set up a mobile antenna or a portable antenna, and then as a hunter, you can go hunt them, and that's all you need to do. You'll get credit on the website, and you can go and sign up there and see how many points you have or what kind of awards you get and stuff like that. So Crossroads has done 2 club events, one at Brazos Bend State Park and the other one at Stephen F. Austin State Park. So we're looking at doing a 3rd event down in Goliad, I believe is where we're at, Goliad, correct? And the next one, so sometime in October-ish, when the weather gets as cool as it can here in South Texas in October, and try to set up something in that area. It'll be a twofer because there's 2 parks in one down there, so we should be able to do a twofer, which means there's a park within a park. So look for more information to come on that in the future as soon as we pick a date and get everything put together. But it will be in Goliad, so some of the people from down in that area should be able to join us closer drive than coming up here to where we've been hosted about. That's pretty much all I got for that. KI5HVF back in that.
Roger that, Darren. Yes. Stand by for more info on POTA, upcoming POTA events. Too hot for that stuff right now. If you do POTA down here, you're going to get bit by a rattlesnake. Anyways, any other questions? Any questions for Darren? Hey, no questions for Darren. I think, like I said, there'll be more coming out for POTA. So we're going to open up the net for any amateur radio related questions. We'll take a few call signs at a time, and if anybody's got any questions, call now. Call with your call sign slowly and phonetically twice. If you got any amateur, anything you want to talk about, bring it on now. Okay, I'll talk about this. This is my 49-to-1 balun that I made the other day. It's got a piece of foam rubber in there. It's holding the toroid and the winding and the circuit board to the back of the box, so I didn't have to glue anything. In other words, I can take it apart and play with it if I want. But this is we're going to try this next time we do POTA. This will be hopefully the antenna of choice. Half-wave end-fed. And if you want to build one of them, look on YouTube because there's a whole mess of them on there.
Hey, Phil, what's the wing nut for?
Okay, so there's 2 wing nuts on here. Here's the input for your coax. This is going so you can hang it. One of the wing nuts is your wire, your 66 feet of wire or thereabouts. And the other wing nut is a ground. This goes to the ground. So you can ground this to a water pipe if you got one close, or you can put, say 30 feet of wire for your counterpoint, just put it on the ground. You know, it'll help you with your SWRs. You can also put some snap-on toroids on your coax, 5, 6, 7 of them on there. That'll keep the RF coming back down. You know, there's all kinds of ways you can play with this thing and get it to work in the way you want it. I haven't tried it yet, but it's coming soon. I get it working, I'm going to build a second one that's going to be heavier duty that I can put on my tower and have a permanent end-fed antenna on the tower. So this one should work from 40 meters up to 10 meters. It depends how much wire you put on. You can use the same balun for 80 meters. You just got to double up the wire. Or you can do 160 meters on there, which is a 200 and, I I think 40 feet, 230 feet, somewhere is in there. So it's up to how much room you got. Anyways, W5 CPO and the W5 LCR repeater system. Anybody got any questions or comments or anything? I can see Bill, number 9, I can see you got a question.
Yeah, a comment and a question, if it's okay. We talked about this topic a little bit on some of the other nets, like the Thursday night Crossroads net, some of the other club nets here in Southeast Texas, but kind of a post-barrel kind of review of how the equipment and the antennas and some of the repeaters held up. I was really, I would say I was mildly shocked, to say the least. This type of hurricane with these kind of winds came up through Matagorda Bay and up toward the west side of Houston, here Katy, and then on up to Kingwood. How many repeaters stayed on the network, were up and running first, and then secondly, some of those that had All-Star, still had capability on the internet. Sounds like they had, access to some of the, telephone RF and so forth like that, cell sites. So just kind of a question, but maybe if anybody has some comments about repeaters in their area, how they worked and, the antennas and all that, I was just mildly shocked. I don't know, maybe I shouldn't be. Back to net, K5LK.
I will say it was very comforting to be able to hear voices over the air when nothing else worked. I mean, that was the coolest part about it. The Port O'Connor repeater was up till about 5 o'clock the morning of the hurricane, and then lost power. But the head repeater was gone, so I could hear the rest of the repeaters, and that stayed going till everything came back up. So that was pretty neat. Anybody got any questions about again, just about anything?
W5BSA here, Phil. I got a comment about what K5LK was just talking about.
W5BSA, go ahead.
That's one of the reasons when most of the repeaters, especially when you're at a location such as the 145.19 repeater and including the Katy repeaters on the 300-foot tower out there, and like up on the BP building where 145.19, part of our agreement up there is we have to use commercial class equipment across the board, especially when it comes to antennas. And so like a couple of years ago when we had to replace the antenna up out there and do inflation, when we went to put a new antenna up there, and again, going back to why it stayed on the air, plus its own backup power, but what also helped us stay on the air is, and that's the reason that antenna costs $1,600. It has a wind rating of up to 155 miles an hour, so that's a good part of your survivability. Where in the past, when we didn't have much funds to work with, we'd go up and like over on the hospital over on 59 and the Beach Nut. Many times we'd go up there, and due to limited funds, we had the repeater on there, but we were putting up diamond fiberglass antennas, and about every 6 months they'd get blown to smithereens by lightning. And so finally, in my opinion, part of the survivability rating, then the repeater stays on the air during times of disaster like that, is using good, high quality equipment, and it costs money. So I guess I'm kind of making a pitch there when we hear different repeater groups asking for donations to keep something on the air, replace antennas. That's why. Back to you, W5BSA.
Roger that, Joe. You're exactly right. Scott, you still on here? C5RXW?
Yeah, go ahead there, Phil.
What happened to the Port O'Connor repeater? I know it wasn't damaged or anything. What did it do, just lose power?
Well, there were some relays that got stuck in the auto start function of the generator. Otherwise, we would have never lost it. But the couple of relays got stuck, and I went out there and flipped them and fired right up. But that was all that happened.
Roger that. I think almost all the repeaters that went down was due to either loss of power or generator failure, or they didn't have generators, backup generators to start with. But yeah, at least over 50% of them stayed on the air, which was pretty cool.
Yes, sir. I'd like to probably get that down to or up to 100% would be nice, but that's a work in progress. Appreciate it, Phil, for running the net. Back to you.
Yes, and like Joe said, it takes money to keep it all going. That's what we got the raffle going for. I don't know who's gonna win that thing, probably me. Anyway, let's see here. Where are we at? All right, I'm gonna wrap it up since there's not much else going on. Please note that we will stay on Zoom for a rag chew session after the completion of the net. If you have any questions regarding amateur radio related topic or topic suggestion for an upcoming Tech Net session, please feel free to contact Bill number 9. Or you can send an email to technet@crhrc.org. Before closing the net, I want to give everyone an opportunity to get checked in. If you have not already checked in through the pre-check-in Zoom or NetLogger, this is an opportunity to do so. Please give your call sign slowly and phonetically twice. Call now.
Whiskey 2, Papa, Alpha, Papa. Whiskey 2, Papa, Alpha, Papa. Name's Jim. Juliet, India, Mike, Katie.
Anybody else?
November 7, Foxtrot, Golf, Papa. November 7, Foxtrot, Golf, Papa. Scott in Houston.
Yes, sir. This is Kilo India 5, Romeo Sierra Romeo, KI5RSR. Just checking in for the numbers on the 44225 repeater down in Nueces. My handle's Rick, KI5RSR.
Thanks for checking in, Rick. Got you on the log. Anybody else? All right, I'm not hearing anybody else. I want to thank everyone that participated in tonight's TechNet number 9 session. Also want to give a big thanks to the TechNet committee members who helped in making tonight's net a success. And if you're interested in joining the TechNet committee, feel free to get on the CRHRC website and send an email to Bill number 9. He will take care of that. Or send an email to technet@crhrc.org. And we always can use more TechNet committee members. Finally, please note that a few of us will remain in the Zoom session for a general rag chew. I will now close our session of the Crossroads Ham Radio Club's monthly Monday night TechNet. This is W5CPO returning the repeaters back to normal amateur use. 73s, everybody. Good night. God bless.
You have been listening to a TechNet presentation of the Crossroads Ham Radio Club. For more information on this club, go to www.crhrc.org. For information on upcoming TechNets, go to technet.crhrc.org.